You are listening to the Healthy Happy Mommy podcast, episode number 41.
You are listening to the Healthy Happy Mommy podcast with Nikki Lee Gorovich, the faith, health, and business style podcast for Christian boss moms, so you can train from a fellow mompreneur and other experts how to run your business, raise your babies, and maintain your health, all while keeping God at the center of it all. Here's your host, organic obsessed, crazy chicken lady, and world's okayest mom, Nikki Lee Gorovich.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Healthy Happy Mommy podcast. Today we're going to talk about something more fun than last week. Last week's episode was heavy, but necessary. So if you didn't already go and listen to last week's episode, I would encourage you to go back and listen to it. It just had a really strong, powerful message that I believe God wants us all to hear. And it's just a super necessary topic. So go back and listen to that if you haven't. And if you have, I hope you liked it. But this week's episode is going to be more fun and more bubbly and upbeat like I normally am. So we're going to talk about journaling today. And it sounds like, we're back in the fourth grade and we're keeping diaries and journals and everything. And like you have to hide in your bedroom under your blankets and journal or keep your diary and make sure that it doesn't get stolen by your brothers and read aloud to everybody. So like when people first think of journaling as an adult, I think a lot of people automatically assume that they're too old for journaling or that it's for kids or that there's no benefit to journaling as an adult. But I want to tell you that that is not the case. Journaling is extremely beneficial for a lot of different areas of our lives. And I want to talk to you today about them because journaling is one of my favorite things to do, especially when I'm feeling overwhelmed or just kind of like with all kinds of thoughts in my mind that I can't really get out properly. So for me, journaling really helps. So I'm going to just share some ways that journaling is good for us. And then I'm just going to share with you the way that I journal and, what kind of sparks my inspiration to journal. And maybe if you aren't already journaling, you will want to go out and get yourself a journal today and start journaling because it's really fun. And if you're anything like me, you like an excuse to go buy some sort of pretty journal with, I'm just like obsessed with going to like Michael's and picking out pretty journals or just like, the smell of new paper, the smell of books. I'm just obsessed with all of those things. So I love any excuse to go to a bookstore or some sort of craft store and pick a brand new journal and a nice pen or something like that. It's just super exciting. So if you're like me in that way, here's your excuse to go get yourself one today. Treat yourself. It's Easter, so buy yourself a journal for Easter. You never know. Maybe it'll help you. Okay, so for me, when I am feeling crazy, mom brain, I'm sure you guys know what I'm saying. Like you have all these thoughts in your mind. You have what you have to get done. So let's just talk about this weekend, for example. Because if you celebrate Easter, you are also probably, all over the place with planning. Maybe you're hosting. We're actually hosting. So we are all over the place. We have to prepare the food. We have to prepare the house. You have to make sure your house is clean. You have all the stuff you need for your guests. We're doing an Easter egg hunt, so we need to make sure we find all of those annoyingly easy to lose plastic Easter eggs that are down in our basement that we have to go search for and put them all together with all of the stuff. And it's crazy, right? And then of course you have to make sure that the Easter bunny, if you celebrate that portion of Easter, that the Easter bunny is properly prepared with his Easter gifts so that your children can wake up and have something from the Easter bunny. So you have to make sure that that situation is taken care of as well. And what else? You have to make sure you're actually put together, that you have something nice to wear, that you actually take a shower or do your hair and makeup. There's just a lot to do. So for me, when I'm feeling like there's so much, and I don't know if you're like this, right? I mean, maybe you're not, but I am. And my personality is very much, I tend to get overwhelmed and stressed out pretty easily if I don't like look at my thoughts. If I don't actually catch myself in it, I can tend towards the overwhelm side really fast. And then of course that starts showing up in the way that I, react to my husband, my kids and stuff like that. So I start getting to be like kind of a crazy person if I'm feeling stressed out. So busy weekend like this is a perfect setup for getting stressed out. So if you're feeling like you have so much to do and you can't really like pinpoint exactly what you have to do, but you just know there's so much to get done, you might want to try journaling the to-do list and your thoughts about it. It literally would just take you like 5 minutes to grab a piece of paper and make a list of all of the things that you have to do. And what happens for me when I do that is it gets out of my head. So right now, all of my thoughts are in my head, jumbled up, swarming around in my brain like bees, like brr, like all crazy in my head, and I can't catch any of them. They're all just flying around up there like, oh my gosh. And it feels like there's like a crazy war going on up there. But when I journal them, what I'm doing is basically picking each one of those thoughts out of my brain and putting it down on a piece of paper and like silencing the thought, if you will, if that makes sense. So you're like, catching it in the air, it's flying around, you're grabbing it out of the air and you're sticking it down onto that paper, and then you can look at it. And you do that with each of them, right? So if you have 15 things that you have to do, but you can't really focus on any one of them because you just feel like there's just way too many, writing each of them down helps to stop the crazy cycle that is going on in your brain, and helps you look at each one of them and be like, okay, this is what I have to do. I can see it on paper. It's not that bad, because it normally feels so much worse and so much more overwhelming when it's up in your brain, like scattered, right? But when you can put it on paper, automatically it feels less overwhelming and less stressful. And you're like, oh, okay, that's not that bad. I can totally get all of this stuff done. And then you can kind of check it off as you go and feel accomplished. So that's just one example of some way that I like to journal when I'm feeling like a little bit stressed out. Sorry, my throat is crazy today. So that you can do this with anything though, like any type of like feelings of overwhelm or feelings of stress that you are, you have all these thoughts going around in your head and you can't kind of pinpoint exactly what you're thinking. You just know that you're feeling crazy. It really helps to free write those thoughts. So what you would do is like get up, and for me, journaling is done best when it's quiet. So first thing in the morning before anybody wakes up, if that's possible for you. If not, then, maybe you need to take 5 minutes and go sit in your car or something, or on your lunch break, or whenever you can get whenever you can get quiet, and just free write all of your thoughts without thinking or judging your thoughts, without like focusing on if your handwriting is neat or if your thoughts make sense or any of those things. Just start writing whatever starts coming out of your mind without thinking about it. Just write, just completely write without any type of judgment, because whether we know it or not, we're judging ourselves on everything. So if you try not to judge yourself and judge your thoughts, you will be able to allow the thoughts to come out naturally. And when you do that, it's got so much power behind it, because it kind of invokes mindfulness. Everybody is like, oh, I want to be mindful and stuff. Well, there's definitely a very strong connection between mindfulness and happiness, because I feel like if you can get in touch with how you really feel, then you can like be more happy because you're not feeling like stressed out all the time. Whether or not you journal and you feel like bad about what you write in your journal because right now you're feeling bad, so you're going to journal something bad, it actually helps you feel better even if you journal something bad, because you're able to connect with yourself and connect with how you truly feel and stop putting on that mask. I always talk about the masks that we wear and like how we have to always look like we have everything put together and stuff. Well, if you really struggle with this, journaling might really help you to get out of that space and just be completely honest with who you really are and how you really feel. And when you're able to get that mindfulness and happiness, journaling can really bring you there. When you're trying to get there, journaling helps you get there because it actually brings like that the frustrations that you have, maybe in the past, maybe currently, you feel like frustrated, you feel, like I said, stressed out, overwhelmed, and maybe you have future anxieties that you're worried about. It brings all of those to the present tense, and they kind of lose their edge at that point because, like I said, when you're thinking and thinking and thinking, your thoughts are running rampant in your brain, and they're running amok. Like they have no control. They're just burr, 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 all over the place. But when you journal them down, they kind of lose their scariness because you look at them and you're like, oh, okay, this is not that bad. So it kind of like calls your wandering mind to attention, and it's bringing it from like a passive thought to an actively engaging with the thought. Sorry, my throat is like really, it doesn't hurt, but it's like, I don't know. Hold on, let me take a sip of coffee. Okay, sorry. I don't know. I think cold air or something. All right, so that's just one reason why journaling is really good. The other thing about journaling that I've found in the past, and I find to still be true, and I tell my clients this all the time, is that if you're looking to achieve goals, if there's something that you're working on, something specific that you want to do, maybe you want to lose weight, maybe you want to, I don't know, maybe you want to increase your exercise routine, like the amount of times you exercise, maybe you want to get a new job or go on dates with your husband or like improve your marriage, whatever it is, I don't know. I mean, we all have different goals, but when you journal those goals out and like write them down, it seriously has such an impact. So most people can think that journaling would include only like the dreams and ambitions, but when you actually put words down that are like for real, not just like fanciful thoughts, but actual things that you want to do, what happens is your subconscious mind starts to get triggered. And this is not woo-woo, guys, because I'm not woo-woo at all. It's actually true. It's actual science. It's the way God designed our brains. Writing goals signals your brain that this is important. What it actually does is your reticular activating system, which is in your brain. I'll explain a funny thing about that in just a second. What that does is it flags the relevant opportunities and tools to achieve the goal that you write down. So more detailed goals would provide a psychological blueprint and increase the likelihood of achieving them. So the more detail you have about the goals that you want to achieve, the more your brain can start working to kind of like nudge you to this stuff that's going to help you achieve that goal. So the reticular activating system is the thing in your brain that points stuff out. So think about it like this. If you get a brand new red Mercedes, okay, once you get the brand new red Mercedes, you're thinking about the brand new red Mercedes. It's on your mind. It's very much on the forefront. You know how when you get a brand new car, all of a sudden you start seeing that car all over the place? Like the brand new red Mercedes. Now you're going to start seeing red Mercedes cars all over. The reason why is because that is your reticular activating system signaling you to pay attention to that thing that's on your mind. There's not an influx all of a sudden of the same car as yours. They've always been there. You just never were paying attention to them. So that is part of our brains that allows us to pay attention to things that we find important. So when you journal and you write down the stuff that you want to achieve, the goals, it signals your brain. There's this weird connection between physically writing, and has to be with pen and paper. This can't necessarily be with typing. There's a very psychological connection between physically writing with a pen and paper and the way the subconscious mind starts to go to work to help you achieve that goal. I can't explain it exactly. I mean, I explain it a little bit with the reticular activating system, but God is the one that gave us these insanely amazing brains and the way we work. And, sometimes we just can't explain the way things happen. But I will tell you firsthand that I have done this and it works every single time. So don't laugh at it. Like, it's true. It really does work. And this is not manifesting, by the way. This is actual science based on the way that we are created by God. So don't email me about manifesting, because I'm not down with that either. I'm just telling you that is how we were created, and that is what will happen if you start journaling out your goals. So another thing, obviously, is journaling will strengthen your self-discipline. If you set aside time to write, whether it's in the morning or the evening, it's an act of discipline, and discipline begets discipline, right? Like a muscle, the more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. And habits formed in one area of life have a tendency to spread. In one area of life, having a tendency... Sorry, I'm reading my notes and I just read the same sentence over again. It's silly. So obviously, if you're journaling and you're disciplined about journaling, you have now a tendency to spread that discipline in other areas of your life. Like maybe you're going to keep your office more clean, or your bedroom more clean, and your daily practice of writing actually will be like a domino effect, and it will start to kind of flow over into your other habits of your life, and maybe you'll start eating healthier, maybe you'll start exercising. You never know, because you're going to feel better, and it's just going to start this whole big thing. I don't know if you guys ever read or listened to the audiobook, the Miracle Morning, and it's really good. If you haven't, you should definitely listen to it or buy it. Listen to it or read it. But it's good because it talks about just like waking up a little bit earlier and doing a couple different daily routines so that you can, kind of get your morning started right. But one of them is journaling. And that, if you look at any successful person or look up the habits of successful people, you will see that they all have some sort of journaling, some sort of maybe it's not completely journaling, but maybe it's like a gratitude list that they practice every day where they write the things that they're grateful for. There's all kinds of stuff. But I'm going to tell you right now that successful people are journaling, so don't think that it's for kids. The other really cool thing about journaling is it's extremely healing. So expressive writing is definitely a route to healing, emotionally, physically, and psychologically. Dr. James Pennebaker, author of Writing to Heal, has seen improved immune function in participants of writing exercises. Stress often comes from emotional blockages and overthinking hypotheticals, which, like I said, that's the case for me a lot of times. He explains, when we translate an experience into language, we essentially make the experience graspable. And in doing so, you free yourself from mentally being tangled in traumas. Studies have also shown that emotional release from journaling lowers anxiety, stress, and induces better sleep. So this is definitely legit, guys. It also sparks your creativity. There's this lady, Julia Cameron. She writes morning pages. And basically what that is it unlocks creativity amongst the people who are looking to be creative. And really, I mean, anyone and everyone can be creative. It's not, our struggle really isn't whether we're creative, it's how to let it flow. So if you're trying to be creative and you can't figure it out, journaling might help that. So Julia's tool when she journals is simply to write without thinking. So like I was talking about, free writing, or you can call it stream of consciousness writing. So beyond overcoming writer's block, stream of consciousness writing brings out thoughts and ideas that you never knew you had in you, and it loosens up your expressive muscles. She recommends 3 pages done first thing in the morning, including even 1 page as part of your journaling will get your creative juices flowing. So I wouldn't say necessarily that you need to do 3 pages. I would do as much as you want, but if you've ever read that book Essentialism by Greg, what is his name? I forget his whole name, but it's called Essentialism, and he talks about journaling, and his thing is like not to burn yourself out right away, because you're going to be really excited to start, so you might journal, and then burn yourself out. So he actually says to not write more than like 3 lines to allow yourself to get started, but without burning yourself out. So whatever works for you. I mean, there's no real rule to journaling. You just get started and start doing it. And the last thing that I'll just mention is that journaling is extremely good for self-confidence. So journaling about a positive experience allows your brain to relive it and reaffirms your abilities when the ugly head of self-doubt appears. The release of endorphins and dopamine will boost your self-esteem and mood. These reflections can become a catalog of personal achievements that you can continue to go back to. So, as you work to incorporate journaling into your life, remember that the elephant is best eaten 1 bite at a time. Patience and consistency are crucial in forming new habits. So, maybe you just begin writing, 3 days a week, maybe 1 day a week, maybe first thing in the morning or before you go to sleep. Whatever works for you, but I would definitely encourage you guys to give it a try. Give it a try. Maybe you just start with writing down the 3 things you're grateful for. You know that I'm all about gratitude list, and that I talk about how much practicing gratitude makes such a difference in your life. So even if you just wake up and journal the 3 things that you're grateful for that day, that's good to start with just in general. I mean, that's great because you're focusing on the blessings that you have. You're thanking God for what you've been given. And, just that alone will start your day so much better off than it would have been if you had not done it. And then, as you go, if you have like a stressful time, if you have trouble processing your thoughts, if you're worried about something, journaling can be such a great tool. So I would really, really encourage you guys to give that a try. And I would love to hear about whatever you think. Like if you get to go out and buy yourself a new journal today, or if you've been journaling for 15 years and you love it, send me a message. I would love to hear about it. I would love for you to share maybe if you have like a cool way that you journal or some sort of tips that you can give us about, journaling and making it into a practice. I would love to hear from you. So make sure you go over to my Instagram at The Healthy Happy Mommy and send me a message there. And if you're not on Instagram, you can just email me hello@thehealthyhappymommy.com, and I would love to hear from you. So take care, guys. I hope you have an awesome weekend, and happy Easter if you celebrate. And if not, that's okay too. I hope you have a great weekend regardless. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care. Bye.